Hello, World of Tank Blitzers, it's Littlefinger, and I am the proud new owner of a WZ-112-2. This is a Tier 8 Chinese heavy premium that is currently up for grabs in a container as part of Chinese New Year. Alright, so if you click the green shopping cart in the top right and go to bundles, you'll see that Wargaming is offering 2 containers for $5 as a one-time deal. I am not a big proponent of spending money on containers, but I was just said, what the hell? So I did it, and wouldn't you know, this is what happened on the first container. So with a 5% drop, that's extremely lucky. Do not expect to be as lucky as that if you do buy containers. I've missed out on the Scorpion and a couple other tanks, I can't remember now, but on the second container I got half of a 9-hour certificate. I got 2 free XP, which turned out to be 4,600 free XP, and then 30 combat boosters. So, as far as setup on this tank, I did go into the appearance and I purchased the Celestial Camo. I think that looks pretty cool. I think it was a 1,400 gold. Consumables, running repair kits, multi-purpose, and adrenaline. Provisions, running improved combat rations, protective kit, and improved fuel. Ammunition, you can see here, 19 rounds of APCR, 7 rounds of heat, and 4 HE. As far as equipment, running the gun rammer now. The first 2 games I actually went with calibrated shells. Wasn't sure that it was needed, so now I'm testing out the gun rammer. Defense system, improved optics, enhanced gun lane drive, enhanced armor, engine accelerator, and a vertical stabilizer. Alright, so before we get into the stats on this tank, I want to just point out this tank is extremely similar to the 112 Glacial. Obviously, it has the exact same gun, and fronted sloped armor, very similar in style. The WZ is actually a little bit faster. It's got a little bit more hull armor and a little less turret armor. But as we go through and look at the Glacial here, it's a little bit more rounded, and those cupolas are sitting up and, can be penetrated. Whereas if you look at the WZ, it's got a much more lower profile, and the slope on the turret is much more pronounced. It's going to lead to a lot of bounces, I think. Very much got a nice rounded turret here, like some of these other Russian tanks, like, say, the IS-5. Very similar there. Alright guys, so I'm going to play you my very first 2 games in this tank. Here we are on Middleburg as top tier. Obviously, when you get a new tank and you're not in a platoon, then your first 5 games are always as top tier. Use that to your advantage so that you can grind up some experience points and maybe upgrade some of the equipment on the tank. Obviously, with a premium, we don't need to worry about that, but we are all headed up to sea, which is great to see here. Love seeing teams that all work together. On the run here, very first shot goes in and we get a bounce. Downside to this tank, minus 6 degrees of gun depression. You'll start to see it here, but we are able to back up enough to get our second shot to go in. So right off the bat, penetration doesn't appear to be a problem. We get our first kill. The reload on this is a little bit long, but that comes with having a very high caliber gun, 122 millimeter. So we've cleared 2 tanks off of the hill here, and the rest of these guys now are pretty much sitting in the open. Thought I'd give HE a shot, see if we could get it to go through the side. Obviously that did not, but it was worth a shot. Obviously, I think pen on the HE, depending upon your setup, is about 66. So there we go, we get our second kill. IS-3 is that just sitting out here in the open. It's not where you want to get caught, so try to aim for that back wheel, track him, If anyone else shoots him, I'll get a little bit of extra EXP because I've tracked him. So he's pushed in behind the building. So is the Tiger there. It's 5-on-3. Got a lot of hit points, so just going to be aggressive. And that's the one thing with this tank over the Glacial. This has a top speed of 42 kilometers per hour. I believe the Glacial's in the 30s. So it's got the mobility that is really nice. So we get our 4th kill there, and those Predators going to come down the hill. And just in time for us to reload and get 5th kill. And there was 3 kill shots in there, all less than 100 damage. And we still finished at 2394 in damage. Got 5 kills. So we got the Walter Radley medal there. And took and landed 9 shots. Alright, so here we are. 2nd game I've ever played in this tank on Castilla. And nice, obviously heavy tank. So I am going to go push the windmill. So while we're getting started here, let's just run down some of the stats on the WZ. So without any equipment, your damage per minute is 1893, and your primary ammo is APCR. So a little bit of a downside, I think, there having heat as premium, but it's obviously an advantage having APCR. So a little bit of a trade-off there. And you can see we've got our first block shot, and this game is going to feature block shots. And why is that? Well, we have got some pretty good armor. While our hull is 140, that's 20 more than the Glacial at 120. It is nicely sloped on the front, you can see there. And what I like about this not being the pike nose is you can go ahead and angle it too, making that much more effective. It's really difficult to angle a pike nose tank. So I think that's an advantage on this tank, if you ask me. If you can keep that lower plate hidden, this tank from the front is going to be really difficult to pen. The turret is 195, so that's a little bit lower than the 240 that's on the Glacial. But as I mentioned there in the open, you can see how rounded it is, and I think you're just going to end up getting a lot of bounces like that if you're facing your target. Obviously on the sides it's going to be a little bit different. The turret on the side is 120, and on the back it is 100. So we're just kind of peeking out here, just trying to get shots, and we do take one there. But we're really holding the front line, keeping them from pushing, using this rock to hide our lower plate. And, you know, we're soaking up damage, shots from the other team. So we're able to get our first kill there. -6 degrees, I mentioned earlier, is to me a downside. That is a typical Russian Chinese tank attribute. But you can see here we've already blocked 1900 in damage, and this T-34 can't get down to our lower plate, and so we're effectively in a nice hold down position for him. And look at that, we're blocking shots from the RHM all the way down there. Up to 3,300 in block shots already. And it's at this point I'm wondering, what in the world is my team doing? I'm obviously taking all the shots. And now they start to help out. And I feel like we can go ahead and push on the VK here. So, you know, this was a really fun tank. You know, is it a tank that I'm going to bring out and play as a favorite tier 8 heavy? Probably not. Certainly worth $5, but probably not much more than that if you ask me. I mean, you saw in my garage, was just the tier 8 Chinese and Russian premium tanks. So, yeah, I could play for several hours just playing my tier 8 premiums, I think. So I was hoping here we could get the VK to shoot. And he does. Takes out the proto. A little bit selfish there. I probably could have rushed in and taken his shot. But I am learning or trying to teach myself to be better at not taking unnecessary shots, not running across the map to help somebody else that's in a bad position. You just can't rely on really anybody on your team anymore. So your first objective, in my opinion, playing Blitz now should be to stay alive, which means don't take unnecessary shots. You know, I mean, I know people complain about it all the time, but you look at the win rates of these teams after battle, and it just surprises me that there are so many people in the mid 40s. I mean, obviously there's got to be people that are winning a lot more, but it just seems like everybody's down in the 40s now. But anyway, that's my soapbox. I'll get off of it for now. But first two games in the WZ, you can see I really enjoyed it. But please don't waste too much money on crates. And as always, guys, have fun out there. I mean, that's just a game, right? Just have fun. So remember, get educated, not fingered. Littlefinger out.